We're live on YouTube.
Okay.
Live on Facebook.
All right, guys, we're going to be joining class here real soon. We've got a lot of real estate agents who are about to sign on, but we're going live here, and it looks like about 10 seconds, give or take. So pretty excited. Thanks to all you guys at Veteran to Veteran who are watching this today and our friends on YouTube. So. All right, hey, welcome everybody to the VA Mortgage Masterclass. Extremely excited to have you guys here. We've got a lot of people signing in right now, so we're going to give it just a second, let everybody get into the system. One of the things I want you to notice, though, on the right-hand side of your screen, there's a chat box. Go ahead and tell us hello. Tell us where you guys are coming in from, city and state. It's going to help me as we do this presentation because there's just different areas that I like to highlight things about inspections and things like that. So, yeah, so you guys are already seeing the chat there. Yeah, it's good afternoon, good morning, right? So, my name is David Smith. I'm one of the managers at Loan Depot. My background: I'm former Army. I was in 11 Charlie, which is an infantry mortarman. I served a total of 8 years. I absolutely loved it. Unfortunately, I did get injured. I needed to get out. And I got into real estate. So I've been a licensed real estate agent for almost 20 years now. But realistically, I've been on the mortgage side of the house for the last 11 years. Spent about half of that time with USAA and one of their programs. And then the other half of that time has really been about traveling, educating real estate agents, consumers, going on to military bases, teaching our active duty troops. Lots and lots of fun. So I have a ton of experience in the VA world. It's kind of all I speak about, right? With me today, I have several of my team members. We're at Loan Depot. We are the VA team. My entire team is ex-military. Patton Gate is with you. He's going to be answering questions in the chat box. So as we go through this presentation, something's on your mind, you guys ask Patton. Patton's actually my boss, so I have extra pressure here today to do good. But he is extremely knowledgeable. He's a West Point graduate, Black Hawk helicopter pilot, a former Army, and just an absolute great human being. And he's going to be there to answer any questions you guys have. So I always get the question, is this live? Today is Wednesday, December 14th at 12 o'clock Central Standard Time. So yes, and I am out of Houston, Texas. I see you. I just see a Houston one right there. Got you, Yvonne. We're going to talk about all kinds of different things today, right? A little bit about the VA history, some of the common questions that are out there, VA 101, different scenarios that we've run into, especially recently, who qualifies, and then ultimately, how do we win VA deals, right? What do we really need to know, and how do we pay attention to this marketplace? So at the end of today, there will be a test. But I'm going to do something really cool. I'm going to tell you guys all kinds of correct answers. I'm going to say things like test question. If you take just a handful of notes, it's going to save you at the end. I promise. When you're done, we're going to give you a ton of marketing material. We're going to give you a lot of the stuff from the VA, different pamphlets and VA circulars that you need to do your business. We're going to give you a certificate of completion, all kinds of good stuff. So before I get started, I always like to start off learning a little bit about you guys. So first question I have you or an immediate member of your family served in the military? So immediate member, I like to say grandmother, grandfather, mom, dad, brother, sister, spouse, son or daughter. How many of you have a military relation? And on a national class like this, I bet you it's going to be somewhere around like 70%. Usually we get quite a few. And then the second question, I saw some of you guys already said that you guys are military yourselves, so that's cool. Oregon, nice. California, nice. Yeah, there you go. United States Marine Corps out of Massachusetts. I see you. Cool. All right, let's see. Answers. All right, cool. Yeah, so there you go. Around 60, 70% of you guys are former military. So second question, if you personally served in the military, tell me what branch. If you did not personally serve, it is the last one. Did not personally serve. That other answer is all the votes are in or whatever. It's now 75%. 75% of you guys have military in your family. So that's pretty cool. And then did you guys see the Army-Navy game? Very interesting game. Went all the way into overtime. Army was successful and able to pull it off. So I was extremely excited. On my team, I have folks from the Navy and I have a lot of folks from the Army. So it was fun to listen to everybody. But all right, looks like Army's on the board, Air Force is on the board, Marines are on the board. So there you go. That's pretty cool, guys. So what I love about this is it looks like 30% of the class, 25% of the class served in the military. So thank you guys for being here. Obviously, we appreciate your service as well. But let's get started, guys. What makes a VA loan great? This is. I always love to start here. This is one of the favorite things that I love to talk about is when we talk about the VA loan. The VA loan is one of the absolute greatest benefits that we earn for serving our country. I understand that there's a chance that we get to retire early. I know that there's the VA healthcare system and maybe, our eyes, our ears, all of those things that are in there. Then there's that GI Bill, right, for education. All of these things are extraordinary. But the VA home loan itself is one of the absolute greatest benefits that's out there. In fact, the VA just announced that there are 22 million people who have earned the right to use this program. 22 million. I mean, that's almost the entire population of Texas, right? 22 million people can use this program, but unfortunately, only 13% have actually done it. And the question is why? I think it boils down to a handful of different things. Number one, a gigantic lack of understanding from the veterans side of things. We don't understand how this program works. But number two, we also know that real estate agents and mortgage professionals may be guiding people to something that's not as advantageous as the VA loan. And then, of course, there's the other group, right? Those who have never gotten a mortgage. But when we look at this number and we see that there's 22 million people, number one, it's a huge opportunity for us to help. It's a huge opportunity for us to engage with that population and help them understand how those benefits work. That's why you guys are here today. You're going to learn a bunch of stuff, right? So let's start off with what this thing actually is. Where did it start? The VA mortgage program was a provision of the Servicemen's Readjustment Act in 1944. Test question. During which war was the VA loan created? Guys, it was created right in the middle of World War II. In 1944, this is when we were starting to see people coming back from overseas, right? And a lot of them wanted to settle down. They wanted to get back to a more simpler kind of life. But unfortunately, the way that the mortgage programs worked at the time, the mortgage programs at the time required massive down payments. The interest rates were somewhere around the 8 to 9% range. The way it was, I think it was the best you could do was a 15-year loan. Anyways, with the way that the mortgage programs were, Congress realized that they needed to make a change. So they created the Servicemen's Readjustment Act, which put a limit on what interest rates could be. It was the first time that we saw 100% financing. There was longer terms in terms of being 20 years or 30-year mortgages. All of this was to help the veterans become homeowners. Here's what I think is awesome. When our veterans first came back, this was one of the first times that Congress really wanted to do something significant and help those who have served. They wanted us obviously to be homeowners, but this is also where they established the GI Bill, which is for education. They wanted us to be business owners. They were helping us with a lot of things for the first time. It was really, really extraordinary. But when we talk about the VA home loan itself, right? What's crazy about this thing is every single year, sometimes multiple times a year, the VA loan has gone through some sort of a change, right? Every single year, there's a modification to it, right? Some years, there's been wholesale change. And that actually just happened. Right when COVID started, January 1st of 2020, there was significant changes to this program. And almost nobody knows about them because everybody missed it because all we talked about was COVID and the lockdown and all of that stuff. So you're going to see a lot of those, what those changes actually are. There's more changes that are going to happen within the next, call it 2 weeks on January 1st. Here's one thing that's never changed. It's what is this thing? What is the VA home loan? The most basic understanding and how I can explain this is the VA makes a guarantee to the lending institution for 25% of the loan. What does that mean? The VA is an insurance policy, right? What the VA is not, the VA does not fund the transaction at the closing table. That's the mortgage company's job, right? The VA acts as an insurance policy in the event of default. If somebody goes in a short sale, somebody goes into foreclosure, the VA will pay out on their behalf the first 25%. So why is this really important? Why does that matter? Here's why. From a mortgage company's perspective, the VA loan is the least risky loan we can offer. Why? We have a 25% insurance policy from the federal government. Make sense? Why is it really important is this. The VA says, hey, we reduced your risk as a mortgage company. You need to do something special for our veterans. And here's what it is. Number one, you're going to provide 100% financing. This is awesome. And this is also where we see our first major significant change. January 1st of 2020, the VA now says you can get 100% financing for anything that the veteran can financially qualify for. We are no longer capped for the first time ever. Our team, and with Patton specifically, who's here with you, we have closed a ton of transactions that were $1 million, $2 million. I think we had one for $3.5 million, 100% financed through the VA because they could financially afford it. Guys, this is the biggest change that I've ever seen. Secondly, VA has very competitive interest rates in comparison to the other mortgage vehicles that are out there. So when we look at this, I've heard it. I've been in real estate for 20 years. I've always heard, oh, VA's interest rates are always higher. That is absolutely false. They are extremely competitive. And a lot of times, VA is actually the best offer that somebody can get. And then third, one of the other significant important things to understand is what a VA loan doesn't have. It does not have mortgage insurance. There is no PMI. There is no MIP. This is huge because they're getting 100% financed and they're not paying fees that they don't have to pay. This gives them more buying power because more of their money is going towards the home, right? Equity in the home. And secondly, it helps them build wealth because they're not wasting money on unnecessary fees. So this is huge for us, right? So now I want to talk about the top questions that I get. I've trained just thousands and thousands of veterans across the country, over 23,000 real estate agents. We tend to get a lot of the exact same questions. So I want to break these down so that when you get these questions from your consumers, you know how to actually answer them. The first question I get is this, and I get this question all the time. Can I use my VA loan more than once? Guys, the answer is yes. There's a whole lot of people out there who think that this program is a one and done program. A lot of people think it's only for first-time home buyers. That is false. A veteran has the right to use a VA loan on every transaction they ever make, right? Secondly, does this benefit expire? Not anymore. There was a point in time where it did expire, but remember I told you the VA makes changes all the time? This was eliminated a long time ago. So once they've earned the benefit, they can use it the rest of their life and they can use it as many times as they wish, right? Now here's a good question. Can I have multiple loans at a time? Can I have multiple houses with an active VA loan? I know some of you are saying no. Some of you are saying yes. Guys, the answer is yes. There's some rules that apply, but there's a ton of people out there who actually own multiple homes, right? Now, is there a size limit to the VA loan? Not anymore. January 1st of 2020, that was eliminated. It's what can their income qualify them for. This is huge, huge, huge to know. Like entire states like California or even Washington or Alaska, Hawaii, where some of the homes may be higher priced, VA was never an option there without significant down payments. Guys, we can do it now, 100% financing. It's huge, right? Does a service-connected disability affect the VA loan in any way? Yes, and I'm going to talk about it in the next section, and I'll break that down so I won't kill you with it now, right? The VA loan, can I use my VA loan while I'm on active duty? Guys, the answer, of course, is yes. There was an entire group of people out there telling them that you can't use your VA loan while you're serving our military. You have to wait till you're a veteran. That is absolutely false. It's crazy that we hear things like that, right? Now, here's another big one. If I'm serving in the National Guard or I'm in the reserves, am I eligible for a VA home loan? Guys, the answer is yes. But this group right here, National Guard, the greatest majority of people in the National Guard do not think that they're eligible for a VA home loan. And they actually are, and I'll show you what those rules look like in just a second, right? So here's all of those. If you go up top, Matt, will you make this available for them? Go above the chat box. You can download this. This is like basically the test, if you will. But it's all those questions with the right answer. You guys can turn it into a marketing flyer, put your information on it, pass it out. People love this thing. Love it, right? All right. Another thing that somebody's going to bring up to you is something called the VA funding fee. What is this thing, right? The VA funding fee, the basic understanding on this is the VA funding fee is a one-time fee per transaction that is charged by the government. Okay, so it's basically the government charges this fee to use this program, if that makes sense. It is a closing cost. Okay, it is always paid at closing. The biggest question that I get from my real estate agents is how do we account for the funding fee, right? So there's three traditional ways to pay the funding fee. Number one, the buyer can pay it themselves. It is what's called an allowable expense, right? Number two, if you negotiate, and as the world continues to shift, we're going to start seeing negotiations again. A lot of times the seller will help pay for the VA funding fee. And number three, probably the most important thing to understand is the VA funding fee can always be rolled into the loan. It can be financed. And this is huge because if we have a buyer who doesn't have a lot of cash for closing and we have a seller who doesn't want to negotiate, we still have an option. We can finance the funding fee. So here is the new chart. Matt, will you make that available for him, please? Here's the brand new chart. This came out just a few years ago. I'm going to break it down a little bit so you guys understand it. But you guys are buying a house. We have a buyer who's going to purchase a house, right? They are choosing to put zero money down. They're getting 100% financing. The first time they use their VA loan, the funding fee is, test question, 2.3%. 2.3%. Again, the buyer can pay this at closing. The seller can pay it, or it can be rolled into the loan. Make sense? Now, for every subsequent use, the VA loan is 3.6%. This is where people say it's kind of expensive, right? So this is house number 2, house number 5, house number 10. It's 3.6%. But here's the trick, okay? A lot of times I will get asked, can I put money down on a VA loan? Guys, the answer is you can put money down on any mortgage vehicle that's out there, right? But if you do it with a VA loan, something really cool happens. If they choose to put as little as 5% down, that the VA says they've created a break point, and that 3.6 drops to 1.65. This is huge. Why? Because this is a one-time fee, and a VA loan does not have PMI. There is no mortgage insurance. This is one and done, right? Now, here's the crazy thing. The VA also sent out an article that said roughly 44% of all the veterans out there who have an active mortgage have the other government program, right? The FHA loan. I'm not saying that an FHA loan is bad, but when you compare an FHA loan to a VA loan, you have to pay attention to how much things start to add up. Number one, on FHA loan, there's a mandatory down payment. It's at least 3.5%. It may be higher, right? But number two, the FHA loan also has something called upfront MIP, upfront mortgage insurance, that's due the day of closing. Sounds just like the funding fee, right? But for an FHA loan, the upfront mortgage insurance that's due is 1.75%. Here it's only 1.65%. I get it. That's not a dramatic difference, but here's what is. The FHA loan has mortgage insurance on it now for the entire life of the loan. It never falls off. This was a government change to that program several years back. The FHA loans mortgage insurance now is forever, right? And I think it's like roughly 85 basis points a year. So to put that into perspective, real numbers, what does that mean, right? What it means is a $270,000 house is roughly $200 a month in mortgage insurance that a veteran should not have to pay. Well, $200 a month times 12 is what? $2,400 a year, right? The average veteran stays in their house 7 to 10 years. I'm going to do 10 because I'm doing public math. 2,400 times 10 is what? $24,000 if that person stays in the house for 1/3 of the time. That's how much money they are throwing away. That is after-tax money being absolutely wasted where it could be going towards, equity in the home or anything else, right? This is crazy to me that so many people fall into this trap, and I get all fired up about it because I fell into this trap. When I got out of the Army, we were moving back to Houston, Texas. I was buying my first house. I didn't know any better. I didn't do any homework. I should have. It's my fault. But the people representing me told me that no seller was ever going to accept a VA loan. So I should go FHA. So I trusted them. I believed them. I thought that they were representing me, right? One day, somebody broke down this chart to me, and I started adding everything up. In a relatively short period of time, me and my family lost over $17,000 on mortgage insurance and FHA loan fees that I should have never had to pay. It's crazy. It's frustrating. Matt and I have been friends for well over 30 years. He always wants me to tell you this. It's like, at that point in time, me and my wife were both in college. We had our first baby on our way. I was just separated from the military. I was about to start a new job. I didn't have any money to waste, and I was just throwing away hundreds of dollars every single month. So I can't stand when people fall into that trap. I think that the VA loan is just a far superior loan from a fee perspective, and just the capabilities are just significantly better. So the next slide that I'm about to show you is an extremely important slide. This is one that I want you guys to understand and know because it's going to help your business, right? Here's what the VA said. The VA says if the veteran has a service-connected disability at the VA, if it's been recognized by the VA that they have a service-connected disability, then that VA funding fee is eliminated for life. If the veteran has a service-connected disability, service-connected means military-related disability, they never have to pay the funding fee again. It doesn't matter what house it is. It doesn't matter if it's a refinance or a purchase. They never have to pay it again. This is huge. Why? We've done all kinds of research. I see, you guys are from, just about every different state that's out there. Across the board, somewhere between about 29% to maybe as high as 34% of all the veterans inside of your state may have a service-connected disability. You have almost a 30% chance that anybody you're working with doesn't have to pay the funding fee. Why is this so big, right? Because if somebody has a service-connected disability, there's almost no mortgage on earth that's better than VA for them. Why? Well, number one, we can get 100% financing, right? Number two, we're no longer capped for the first time ever. We can buy whatever we can qualify for. Number three, we know that the interest rates are going to be good. Number four, we know that there's no mortgage insurance. And now number five, you just eliminated one of the gigantic closing costs associated with the VA loan. This is huge, right? So a lot of people have tinnitus. A lot of people who are in combat arms, we have tinnitus, which is ringing in the ears. Possible PTSD. There's all kinds of different injuries that are out there. Somebody got hurt in the military and the VA recognizes it. They won't have to pay the funding fee the rest of their life. This is what came out January 1st of 2020. The following individuals do not have to pay. Very first sentence. A veteran who's receiving VA compensation for a service-connected disability. Compensation starts at 10%. And it goes 10, 20, 30, all the way up to 100, right? It goes in 10 intervals, right? Other ones to pay attention to, a surviving spouse. If somebody has been deemed a surviving spouse by the VA, not by us, by the VA, they would be exempt from the funding fee as well. And then this one's relatively new. I know a lot of you guys are by military bases. If a service member is on active duty, so they're still in uniform, and they've been awarded the Purple Heart, they are exempt for the funding fee as well. So for all of you who are working by an active duty base, you need to ask that question. Have you been awarded a Purple Heart? Because you can save somebody an absolute ton of money just by asking that question. Cool? I love that. This is like, positive change. VA's done a lot of really cool things. So let me make sure you guys are staying alive. Ask you a quick poll question. All right, how many of you have active VA transactions right now? How many of you guys are working with veterans or active duty as we speak? Second question. This one's important. Pay attention. What is your favorite branch of the military? FYI, there is a right answer. So Matt, how many tests do you have now? 18 different versions? Working on 19. Great. Why do you have 18? Each one's a little bit harder than the last one. The VA can't pass number 18. Yikes. Uh-oh. I hope you remember what branch of the military I'm in, because if you blow that one, boy, you're going to get the hard one. You're going to get the hard one. If the VA can't pass it, come on. He has one. He showed me one version of this test, and I had to go to the books. I had to go to the manuals to start finding answers. So So the first one, which is really awesome, 40% of you guys are working with our military right now. That's pretty good. And let's see, you guys are just killing me with the Navy and the Marines today. Ooh, that's not good for y'all. You guys remember what I am, right? I'll put it to you this way. Only 12% of you chose the Army, and the rest is Navy's on the board, Air Force on the board, Navy and Marines are on the board big time. So, and some of you guys went Space Force, so I'm good with that too. To me, it's all good. I grew up in a Marine household. Okay, so my dad's a Vietnam era Marine. Both my grandfathers, one was Air Force, one was Navy, so I've got all of it covered pretty much. So, but good show. We'll see how you guys do on the test at the end. Since you guys don't like me, that's all good. All right, here we go. How does a veteran qualify? So from the VA's perspective, in order for a veteran to qualify, it really boils down to two major things. Did they serve the proper amount of time in the military? And basically, did they not get in trouble, right? Do they have the correct discharge? So from a time perspective, Matt, will you make that available for him? So from a time perspective, what's crazy is it boils down to when somebody served in the military, everybody has a different time. And this is why, depending on what era somebody was in the military, it's not just one and done. Like there's no set deal. So for example, if somebody served during the Vietnam era, like my father did, 1964 to 1975, they had to serve 90 total days, okay, to be eligible for VA loan. So here's what's crazy. Back then, the VA loan used to expire, okay? So a lot of people in that generation never used their VA loan because they thought that it expired. Well, after that, into late 70s, maybe early 80s, something like that, the government made a change to where they eliminated that expiration period, right? But they didn't tell anyone. I teach at VFWs. I teach at American Legions. My father's a prime example. My father purchased 4 homes, never once used his VA loan. And on the last one, I finally was like, Dad, what are you doing? Why are you not using this benefit? And he was like, that thing's expired. I don't have access to it. They have no idea. So if you're working with folks who maybe served in the 80s or before, most of them, they don't think that they can use this program at all. They are absolutely false. That is false. They have access, right? For the test, I'm going to talk about the Gulf War. The Gulf War era is 1990 through today. So the last 32 years, almost 33 years now, right? How long does somebody have to serve to be eligible during that time period? It is 24 continuous months or 90 days deployed. 90 days deployed. And so I'll break it down for you on the test. This is a test question. 24 months is known as the same thing as what? 2 years. Guys, 24 months is 2 years. I know you're going to get to the test and you're going to be like, hey, the answer is not available. You made a mistake on the test. Guys, 24 months is 2 years. Just choose that. Make sense? Or 90 days deployed, right? So deployment can be all kinds of things. 90 days outside of CONUS, which is continental United States, counts. So Alaska is a deployment. Hawaii is a deployment. Then you have your normal ones, right? The Germany, Italy, Afghanistan, Iraq, Korea, things like that. If somebody spends 90 days outside of CONUS, they're eligible for a VA loan the rest of their life. Make sense? Second group, for those who are on active duty. If they are currently on active duty, it's 90 continuous days after training. So when you join the military, you go to training, you go to basic training, boot camp, whatever you want to call it. Then you go to advanced training. Then you get assigned to a duty station. Once they've been at that duty station for 90 days, they're eligible to use this benefit. When they exit the military is where they need the 2-year rule or 90 days deployed. Make sense? Then the final group, National Guard and Reserves. National Guard and Reserves. Their answer, 6 years. 6 years. So 2 years active duty, 6 years National Guard and Reserves. And Matt made that available for y'all up there too. So here's the trick with National Guard. There's a gigantic word and it's called OR, right? O-R, OR. 90 days of activated service. If somebody in the National Guard or the Reserves gets activated for 90 days, they're now eligible for a VA loan for the rest of their life as well. This is huge. Why? I served with a ton of people who were National Guard and Reserves who went to Afghanistan and who went to Iraq. I promise you almost all of them are active. And now think about the last 3 years, whatever we're at now with COVID, guys, we've had National Guard and reserves activated all over our country during COVID, during the presidential election, during, kind of all that whole time period. There's an entire generation of people in the National Guard who are now eligible for a VA loan who weren't before, right? I'm in Texas. The National Guard has been, guarding the border for, 10 months, 11 months now, a long time. A lot of those folks are not eligible. Matt, what was that stat? Yeah, the one we saw like a couple weeks ago, 62. There's 62,000 people in the National Guard and Reserves who have earned VA loan eligibility just within like the last 2 years. That is huge opportunity there. So let them know. All right. So the second thing they got to do is they can't get in trouble, right? So they have to have the correct discharge, right? So obviously to be eligible for a VA loan, an honorable discharge, they would be eligible for a VA loan. In some cases, they can get a general discharge. This can be for all kinds of different reasons, right? Medical related, some sort of an injury. It can also be the government's decision. Like sometimes they, reduce force, they get rid of units, things like that. That may still let them be eligible, okay? Now, the two for the test, who is not eligible? The opposite of honorable is what? Dishonorable, right? You can forget about this. And then my absolute favorite, bad conduct. Do you know how bad you have to be worse than dishonorable? I mean, you got to bring it. You got to bring it. I can tell you, I would struggle to work with somebody who may have gotten that much trouble. So I just, if they tell you they have an honorable discharge, you're good to move forward with it. All right. And then Dwight Schrute, everybody. Love that guy. He's awesome. All right. What's the most important thing the veteran has to have in order to get a VA loan, right? This is the critical piece. This is what you got to know. It's something called the COE, Certificate of Eligibility. This is what it actually looks like. It is a government document that we have to get from the government. It is one of the most confusing pieces of paper to read, and a lot of loan officers really struggle with it. But my team, we do this all the time, so it's really not that hard. What it tells us is they served the proper amount of time. They didn't get in trouble. It tells us if they've owned multiple houses in the past. It lets us know if they have a service-connected disability, and it tells us, are they good to go, right? So here's the deal. The veteran has a bunch of ways that they can get this. They can go to the VA and go get this document, right? That's fun. They can call the VA and have it mailed to them. That's good times. They can go online to ebenefits.va.gov and they can download this document themselves if they can figure out how to navigate that. Or my team will get it for them for free. My entire team is ex-military. Patton is here with you guys today. We have direct access to the portal where we can go in and we can pull a service member's certificate of eligibility, and it takes Patton about a minute and a half to do it. It is unbelievably easy for us to get. Do not make this harder on your client than it needs to be, right? But here's the key. This is the big thing you got to understand. It's imperative that we get this thing day one, right? I hear in this industry all the time, loan officers, I know that they try hard, but a lot of loan officers may only do one VA loan or two VA loans a year, so they're not as proficient with how all these systems work. Here's the problem. If you pull what they'll say is, we just have to have the COE before we close the loan. That is correct. Fundamentally, that is correct, but technically it's so wrong. Because if there's a mistake on the COE, if there's a mistake, guys, it can take 14 days, 28 days, 30 days to fix. My team, we've seen everything. We've seen misspelled names. We've seen the right name with the wrong social security number. I've seen first-time homebuyers who will have a list of foreclosures under their name, and their entire benefit is blown up. Recently, we had a gentleman who was 100% service-connected disabled, and here it said 0, right? So now we have to charge him the funding fee, and we can't count his income. All of that, we have to go and we have to get that corrected, right? It takes time. That's why we do it day one. Patton's our team manager. It's his requirement that anytime we do a pre-approval, we pull the certificate of eligibility right there. That's how we've been trained to do this because we've seen all kinds of stuff. And then this final paragraph, I'm going to point this out because I know you can't read it. the VA did something extraordinary. This is super, super awesome, right? Here's what they said. A whole bunch of mortgage companies out there have done VA loans wrong. They've been charging veterans who have a disability. They've been charging veterans the VA funding fee when they shouldn't have, right? So what the VA did is they set up a reserve of money. And what they said, if somebody was charged that, then the mortgage company took advantage of them, and that veteran is entitled to a full refund of the money that they paid. This is awesome. So they give them a direct phone number, an email address. They show you where to go get the paperwork to start that process. We've seen a bunch of people have their situation corrected, that's VA's doing really cool things. If they get a bad rap, but there's some things that they absolutely get right. So, all right, next thing I want to talk about is inspections. Different inspections that we have to pay attention to, right? So the biggest one that's out there for every single house in our country is we need a WDO, wood destroying organisms, right? It's not just termites, it's kind of everything. So we see all kinds of things, carpenter ants, bees, mold, fungus, all kinds of stuff. We have to have a clear WDO in order to complete the file. Now here's the question. Who has to pay for it? Guess what? They just made a change. Matt, will you make the circular available? Go download this circular. Guess what happened? June, I'm going to go 24th. I feel good about that. June 24th, they finally came out and they said it. The VA does not care who pays for the WDO anymore, the wood destroying organisms, right? It just has to be clear, right? So the seller can pay it, the buyer can pay it, grandma can pay it. We don't care. So this is awesome. There's the circular. You guys can download it. I give this to every agent that's out there because half the times they submit a deal and the listing agent's like, oh, we're not taking VA because we don't want to pay for the termite. They don't have to anymore. You're good to go, right? Other things that will have to be inspected if it has it. If the house has a water well and it is the primary source of water for the home, that has to be inspected and it has to pass. Again, they don't care who pays for it. You just have to have clean drinking water for the family. Everything else is subject to the VA appraiser. If the VA appraiser goes out there, or technically it's negotiable, right? But if the VA appraiser goes out there and says, hey, we got an issue with one of these things, then it would have to be inspected and, rectified or whatever, right? So depending on where you live, I saw a lot of you guys were from the South, but some of you guys from New Hampshire and Oregon, stuff like that. Depending on where you live, you may or may not have a significant termite problem, right? I'm right here in Houston, Texas. We got termites for days. My house gets inspected 4 times a year to make sure the termites aren't creeping in, right? But I understand up north, some of you guys may not see it quite as much. Patton's in Arizona, mild termites issues there. So just know that that's out there. And all of y'all who live in these states, you know all about termites, trust me. All right, other rules. Mandatory occupancy, okay? You cannot buy an investment house, right? Can't buy an investment house with a VA loan. The veteran or their spouse mandatorily has to occupy this home. They have 60 days from the date of closing in which to move into the home, and they are expected to stay for 1 year, right? They are expected to stay for 1 year. After 1 year, that's when they can do whatever they want to do. If they want to turn that into a rental property, they have to be there for a year, right? If they want to, turn it into a VRBO and they want to move on, that's when they can do it. So if a veteran owns multiple houses, remember that question, can I have multiple houses? Yes, but they have to occupy it for 1 year first. Make sense? All right. Other rules that are out there. What can they not do? You cannot buy vacant land with a VA loan. It is not authorized. Why? There's nothing to occupy. But I get this question 3 times a week. You cannot buy vacant land with a VA loan. That's either going to be in cash or that's going to be a land or lot loan, okay? What you can do after that is build a house using a VA construction loan, but they have to own the land first. Cool? So what is allowed? Obviously, single family home, stick-built home, whatever you want to call it, normal subdivision home is allowed, right? Then you've got condos and townhouses. Almost all condos and townhouses are now approved or approvable. Multiple units. Technically, the veteran can do up to a 4-plex, okay? So they can do a duplex, triplex, or a 4-plex. They still have to live in one, but they can rent the other 3 out immediately, Yep. Mobile/manufactured homes? Yes. And then you guys ask me this all the time. New construction. Yes. New construction is VA eligible. What's not eligible? No commercial property, period. Not going to happen. Anything that's not typical for the area. This has wheels. It's not typical for the area. Not going to happen, right? Raw land, can't do it. Like I said, lots, can't do it. And they cannot buy a pure investment home. They have to live there first and then they convert it to an investment. Make sense? All right, scenario. So this is a scenario that we ran into. We had a situation where people were making recommendations that we had a gentleman who was submitting an offer. They got told that their offer would be considered more favorable if it was a conventional loan. And so our client looked at it and said, "Hey, wait a second. They really loved the house. They wanted the house. They wanted to see the difference between a conventional loan versus a VA loan." Okay. So this particular house, conventional versus VA, was a $500,000 house. Both were going to be 30 years. This was earlier this year. The rate at the time on the conventional loan was 5.99, where the rate at the time on VA was 4.875. Remember, I told you, VA loans are very competitive on rates, and a lot of times they're better. Here, it's way better, right? VA did not have a down payment responsibility. Conventional, he now had to put down $25,000 or 5%, which he did not want to do. He had the money to do it, but he didn't want to do it, okay? Here's what's crazy. He's mortgaging $475 versus $500, but his payment's almost $200 higher a month. Why? Because of the interest rate. The interest rate was costing him $200 a month more. Then what? Now we have a little something called PMI, right? Mortgage insurance. That's $269 a month, where VA doesn't have that, right? So here's what's crazy. When you start to look at the scenario, here's the total difference. Sorry, wrong button. Total difference. So here's the mortgage insurance that he was going to pay, right? And mortgage insurance was going to be $34,000 that he would have not had to pay with the VA loan. Then you had the additional interest was going to be $71,000. Then you have the $25,000 negative impact just to start the transaction. Total difference for our veteran to buy that house, same $500,000 house, was going to be $130,000. Guys, it's real money. This is money that's going to end up going to a bank instead of benefiting our client. But here's the reality. Is it really $130,000? That answer is no, right? Because in some of these scenarios, you have to account for everything that's going on. And we looked at it and said, would it have been better if he would have invested in himself? Look at this. So we took the original $25,000 to start an investment account. We added $467 a month every single month. That's the difference in PMI and interest that's going to a bank for the first 10 years. Then we know that mortgage insurance is going to fall off, so we did $198 a month, and we just invested it in the S&P 500, which has averaged 8% for like the last 50 years. Okay, so we're not trying to exaggerate any of these numbers. What's the total difference between buying that house, conventional versus VA? Guys, the total difference is $823,000 is what he possibly could have had in his bank account, investing in himself instead of paying fees that he should not have had to pay. That's crazy to me. That's crazy. So we showed him this scenario. The decision was, quite frankly, it was obvious, right? You don't make $1 million mistake like that. So those scenarios are out there. They happen all the time. As a listing agent yourselves, I want you to think, right? We can't do this to the people who've protected us, right? We need to take it. We need to take those steps to help them secure the proper financing and put them in a better situation. So qualification guidelines. So we got 2 sections left and we're done. And it's test time. We'll be done like 10 minutes after the hour. So here's what's crazy. I told you what the VA cares about. The VA says for somebody to qualify, basically, they have to serve the proper amount of time and they can't get in trouble. You guys remember that, right? What the VA actually does is they monitor us. The VA watches the banks like a hawk. And they tell us it's our responsibility. It is the lender's responsibility to evaluate the risk of lending money. It is the bank's job to say yes or no if somebody qualifies, not the VA. The VA says we have to do things responsibly, right? But here's what's crazy. Every single lender evaluates risk differently. So I'll say it this way. There are thousands of different lenders out there who can do VA loans. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's 1,000 different versions of the VA loan. That's crazy. Why? Think about this. It's a government loan. It's a government program. You would think every single company has to be lockstep, right, left, whatever, right? That's not the way it works. Every single bank is different. What the VA says is we have to evaluate things. We have to evaluate 4 major things: credit, income, assets, and then, of course, there's that property appraisal at the end. So from a credit perspective, right, the VA says that we mandatorily have to pull credit. We have to look at their FICO score, okay? This is nothing more than a snapshot on how somebody pays their debt obligations and are there any whammies that we really need to worry about, okay? Well, FICO scores range from 300 to 850. Here's what's crazy. Every single bank has a different credit score criteria. Some mortgage companies right now today say that a veteran has to have a 700 credit score or better to get a loan with them, right? Then there's this huge group in the middle that says they need about a 640. Well, we're extremely fortunate on our team. We have the ability to go below that, right? And this is something that every single mortgage company is a little bit different on. And that's why your client's going to walk into the first place and they're going to say, nope, sorry, can't get pre-approved. But they can get pre-approved at the second place. That's what's crazy, right? Then you have the next thing, right? Income and employment. The VA says we have to determine how they're going to repay the loan. Why? Because the VA is on the hook for 25%. Remember, they're the insurance policy. But what can we use? Guys, we can use disability to help pay a mortgage, right? Investments, annuities, retirement, all job-related, incomes, things like that. But think about this. From a job perspective, how long does somebody have to be on their job in order to qualify to use that income for the loan? Every single company's rules are different. Some say 6 months. Some say 2 paychecks. There's some companies out there that will use a piece of paper that says that they're about to start a job, right? Every single company is going to be different, right? Assets. So listen to me when I tell you this, because this is one of the big confusing things about a VA loan. I know that a VA loan is 100% financing, right? Correct? That does not mean that there won't be closing costs. There's still going to be a cost of doing business, okay? That's going to be guarantees, right? Number one, you're going to have homeowners insurance. They will have to pay that. Number two is probably going to be some state taxes. Some states are worse than others, right? There's going to be title company fees. There may be transfer fees. There will be mortgage company fees. There's going to be some fees associated with doing a VA loan, but don't mix it up with it's 100% financing. It's not. They still need to prepare for things. How are they going to pay for that? We look at all the different accounts where they can possibly, have money in reserves for, right? But here's what's different about every company. Do they allow gift funds? Gift funds per the VA, gift funds have to come from a family member or somebody who's like a family member, right? Not every company allows gift funds, okay? And then the final thing is the actual appraisal, the VA appraisal process. Is the home actually worth the investment? Is it in good working condition? The VA cares about 3 major things, right? Or 4 major things, right? Number one, does it meet value? Is this home worth what the contract says, right? Number two, there are 2, 3, and 4. They care about safety, sanitary, and soundness. Is the home safe? Is it sanitary? And is it sound, right? That's what the appraisal process is all about. It is not as scary as it used to be. The VA has made all kinds of changes. They've automated a bunch of things. They've added the regional loan center. Siri's going to give me a heart attack. They've added the regional loan center. Like, doing a VA appraisal is unbelievably easier than it used to be, right? And this is where the giant stigma comes from. If you haven't seen VA in a while, light years different. Way better. Way better. All right. How to win VA deals. I'm going to run through this one pretty quick, and then we'll get on to the test and we're done, right? How to win VA deals. So there's going to be different scenarios that you're going to be running into a VA that you need to understand what your options are and how to combat it, right? One of those is going to be that low appraisal, right? So in the VA world, that's called Tidewater. Tidewater is one of the greatest things in the mortgage business ever. VA is the only mortgage that actually does this. Here's what happens. If an appraiser goes out to a house and they determine that that value is going to be lower than what the contract price is, they're going to tell us first. They tell the mortgage company and they tell the real estate agent, hey, you guys have about 48 hours to give me either A, better comps, or B, material facts about this home that may add value so that we can try and meet the contract. They're trying to work with us to help us meet the contract price. Every other mortgage that's out there, you get what you get. Secondly, and I want you guys to understand this. The VA appraiser, right? The individual who goes out and does the appraisal, right? They do not work for the VA. They're not a W-2 employee. They are a contractor. All they do is they do conventional loans, FHA loans, and they do VA loans. Those are the appraisals that they go and look at. So chances are, even if it was a different loan, you're going to get the same result because it's usually the same person who does it. Okay, but one of the things that we also like to point out, and Pat and I talk about this all the time, right? Just because an appraisal comes in low, right? The standard thing out there that everybody knows is either A, the seller has to reduce their price, or B, the contract is dead because now we can't obtain financing, right? We have other options. The veteran does have the right to bring money to pay the difference. So let's say that they're buying a house for $400,000 and it appraises for $390,000. Okay, we have a $10,000 problem there. The veteran has the right to pay that difference, or they can negotiate and meet in the middle. Most veterans, we are not all broke. That's a gigantic stigma that's out there. A lot of veterans are very financially sound, very educated about finances. I met a ton of people on the active duty army who were very well aware of how to manage their checkbook. So that. Just understand there's more negotiating options out there than just the deal is dead. All right? Make sense? Secondly, think outside of the box. Think outside of the box. Renovation loans. This thing is awesome. This is awesome. Not every company can do it. And in fact, Loan Depot right now work directly with the VA to create a brand new renovation program, right? So a lot of people are capped. A lot of mortgage companies are capped at like 30,000, I think it is. Maybe it's 25,000. We are not capped. We can use a renovation loan. This is how this thing works. This thing saves so many deals, it's not even funny. Let's say you go out to a home and the veteran loves the home, but it needs a roof. It needs flooring. It needs a kitchen remodel, right? Guys, we can write an offer on that home. We have a contractor go out there, write up a bid. We submit that to the VA. The VA approves it. We close on time, right? And after closing, all of those repairs are done before the veteran actually moves into the home. We've used this thing so many times. It's awesome, right? So we had a deal, and Patton can correct me if I'm wrong. It was about $1.5 million. San Francisco, right? The house was $1.5 million, and there was like 40 grand worth of termite damage on the front of the house that needed to be fixed. Well, the seller was like, nope, I told you guys, it's as is. I'm not doing any repairs. We switched it to a renovation loan. We had a contractor go out there and say, hey, yeah, it's 40 grand. That's how much it's going to cost me to fix it. Submit it to the VA. VA approved it. When we closed on time, everything was normal. The demolition came out. They repaired all the termite damage, completely saved the deal. The veteran got the home that they wanted, and everything was perfectly fine. That was a deal that Patton saved. This is why I tell you, if there's that ugly duckling house that's out there, you shouldn't be scared of that. We have programs that can make it the way that the veterans actually want. So really, really, really cool program that we are very good at managing. So I get asked all the time, where do I find veterans? I'm going to tell you right now, you better play in traffic, right? We are everywhere. I'm in Houston, Texas. There is no major military base in or around Houston, Texas. There's a very small Ellington Field, but no major military base. However, in Harris and surrounding counties, there are 362,000 veterans that live in homes in this area. We are everywhere. So I'm telling you right now, if you want to meet more veterans, you need to go to recruiting stations. You need to go to National Guard posts, reserve centers, VFWs, American Legions, different military institutions that are out there. Guys, if you go out there and you use marketing material and you're going out with with that kind of that servant heart, don't go out there looking to find a deal. Go out there, be a part of that community, show them that you care and that you're passionate. I promise you, people want to start working with you. Secondarily is this. In the military, we are extremely tight-knit group, right? If you do right by one of our veterans, they're going to tell 100 other people that you're the person to talk to. That's just how this game works. Patton and our entire business has been built off that. We do the right thing, they tell others. So that's go out there, do it the right way, right? This is probably one of the most important points that I want you to understand. You have to work with people who know how to do this program. There are too many people who are being guided the wrong way, directed down the wrong path because people don't understand this program. Patton Gade and our entire team, this is almost all that we do. Patton is actually, I think he's the top 5 this year for VA loan closings as an individual. I mean, this is what he does. He is an absolute rock star. Our entire team's ex-military. This is all we really care about, right, is doing this. You have to understand how to do this program, and you can't flip them into the FHA or conventional loans that may not be as good for them. Make sense? And then finally, I say this. If you want to thank me for my service, and I hear this all the time, and I'm cool with it, right? A lot of veterans are. You can thank them for their service. Some people don't like it, so just keep that in the back of your mind. But here's the deal. If you really want to thank me for my service, do not deny me the benefit that I've earned. This is an absolute earned benefit. I gave up 8 years of my life. I've been around this world multiple times, okay? Do not deny me the benefit that I've earned. And it is on all of us to change the VA stigma, because that VA stigma out there has kept a lot of people from using a really cool program. And this program has changed, and it is extraordinary right now. I believe in my heart of hearts that it is the best mortgage program available, period, right? So for that being said, guess what? Test time. Test time. Did you guys like it? Did you learn anything? You like all VA'd out? Did y'all chat Patton up in the chat box? Phew. All right, Matt, what test are we going with? Don't they like hated the Army from what I remember. Oh yeah? All right, we'll see. We'll see. All right, you guys ready? Let's do this. Let's fly through this and we're out of here. We're right on time. All right. What is a VA loan? Is it a 25% guarantee or 100% guarantee? I am not asking you how much can they finance. Do not make this a trick question. It is a pretty straightforward question. I will also say it's a very poorly written question. I will say it's a confusing question. I could say it's a question that doesn't have all the data that we need, but we're not asking how much can they finance. I see some of you guys are like stalling to get your answer in. You're like, ugh. We can send our complaints to Matt Duhan. He's in the chat box. Feel free to destroy that guy. Does not hurt my feelings. Well, looky there. How about that? 86% of y'all got that correct. It is a 25% guarantee. 25%. All right. When was the VA loan created? World War I or World War II? It's quite the tongue twister to you, by the way, saying that. Yeah, Matt and I, like I told you, we've been friends for 30 plus years. I'm his best friend. He's kind of an acquaintance to me. I got tons of friends. Just kidding. We actually have the exact same birthday too, so we think a lot alike. We're Labor Day kids, September 5th. And we think a lot alike until we get to this moment. He thinks everybody should fail. He wants me to grade on a curve. 100% got that right. World War II. Do the benefits expire? Does a VA home loan benefit expire? So he's always like, he wants to do survival of the fittest, to where we just ask questions. So there's like the last man standing. I'm like, dude, I think everybody should pass, get a certificate, be proud, go represent veterans the right way. He's kind of crazy. All right, get y'all's answers in. You got to put down Candy Crush and actually answer the poll question so I can do the next. I know you're taking an important phone call. I get it. All right, there you go. 100% of y'all got that correct. Do the benefits expire? The answer is no. Can a veteran use their VA home loan benefit more than once? Can they use it more than once? This is the number one question that I get. Oh, I don't want to waste it. I'll use it on my forever home. What? Oh, no, I'm not a first-time home buyer. What? So, yeah, I get this constantly. You guys should know that. And if you downloaded this, the next 5 questions are going to be real easy. All right, there you go. 100% got that right. Can I use it more than once? The answer is yes. Now, here's the real question. Can I have multiple VA home loans at a time? Can I have multiple? So we know we can use it more than once. Can I have multiple? I seem to remember something about living there for 1 year. And if I did that, I could do something cool. What would that be? Oh, that's right. No, I'm not cheating. I'm guiding them the right way. Cheating is if I told them yes, right? See the difference? Yeah. Oh, look at there, 100% got that right. Yes, you can actually have multiple home loans. It's kind of crazy. There's other rules that apply to that too, so don't just think that you can go out and buy a million different homes all on VA. Like the VA will limit what your capabilities are, but plenty of people out there have multiple VA home loans. All right. Next question. Funding fee. Funding fee. When is the funding fee paid? At closing or prior to closing? When is that thing actually due? So we actually have to ask this because there were some people out there who were charging the funding fee in cash prior to closing. And then at the closing table, they were actually charging them a second time and rolling it into the loan. And if somebody caught it, then they're like, oh, clerical error, let's fix that. If they didn't catch it, they just pocketed the money until they got caught. VA did an investigation. They got hammered. Not everybody is completely ethical. It's crazy, right? Always at closing. Good. You guys got that right. There you go. All right, funding fee. First time use. What is the funding fee? What is the funding fee? First time use. So this person does not have a service-connected disability. They have to pay the funding fee. They're getting 100% financed. What is the funding fee? Yes, I agree with you. Very poorly written question again. So, like, this is the problem with your 18 or 19 tests, right? Just because the questions are written bad doesn't make it harder. It makes it, just a worse question. You got to clean this up. You'd be amazed at what all they learned. They were playing Bejeweled and everything. All right, cool. I like it when all answers have been chosen. The correct answer to the, what is 86% of you who got this right, it is 2.3%. 2.3%. Now listen to me. Pay attention. Context clues are everything, right? If the veteran puts 5% down, hint, hint, what does the VA funding fee reduce to, right? So we know it has to go down. It was 2.3%, and now it's going down. If I was taking the test, I would choose C because that's the only logical answer that would make sense to me. You do what you want to do. If it was me, I'd be like, it's got to be 1.65. Everything else doesn't make sense. It's not cheating. It's guiding. It's helping them. They're still going to get their certificate. I don't care. I don't care. He's like crying. Can you guys hear him? He's on my other screen over here. He's like, hey, Matt, 100% got it right. And this is your trick question. Good job, team. Proud of y'all. Proud of y'all. All right, final question. During the Gulf War era, if the veteran has served 90 total days, are they eligible for a VA loan? 90 days. Man, what did I say? Hold on. Did you guys get it? Yeah, I posted it. Okay, sorry. I almost deleted the post. All right, so during the Gulf War era, if they served 90 days, are they good for a VA loan? 90 days. Yeah. You can protest it all you want. They're still going to get everything. If you would write the questions better, I wouldn't have to guide them so much. I believe that they'll make the right choice anyway. Yeah. Yeah, the trick questions always get them. Yeah. See this one right here? This one right here. So far, 100%. 100% of you guys have missed this question. This was the actual trick question. This was the trick, right? And to the to what it looks like the handful who have not pushed the button yet, I know what you're doing. Here it is. During the Gulf War era, when not the Vietnam era, the Gulf War era, if they've served 90 total days, are they eligible for a VA loan? The answer is what? No. The answer is no. 90 total days is the Vietnam era. They have to serve how long? 2 years or 90 days what? Deployed. It was totally a trick question. Matt got you. One poor soul got that right. And I know it's because you waited. I know it's because you waited. I got you. I love it. Here we go. Boom. Congratulations. You guys have passed the VA Masterclass. This is what I did in the military. I was light infantry. Also mechanized at the end, but I was a mortarman. I absolutely loved it. I used to rappel out of helicopters, thoroughly enjoyed it. Unfortunately, I got injured. Probably would have served 20 if I didn't, but I destroyed my knee. I've had like 4 major knee surgeries. I am, quote unquote, a disabled veteran. I don't say it for sympathy. I say it because of this. Most people who know me would never think, oh, he's a disabled veteran, right? Most of us never show that. But if you're working with people, and you know that you have a 30 to 35% chance that anybody you're working with may be a disabled veteran, guys, this is the mortgage that they have to be in. Even if they're not a disabled veteran, the VA mortgage is absolutely extraordinary. And I hope that that's what you guys learned today. But, you know, lead with education. Let them know, hey, if you have a service-connected disability or you have a Purple Heart, you know, there's some things on the VA loan that you need to learn about. Okay, makes sense? Other than that, I'm going to be honest. Before we give you guys everything, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my team. Guys, we want your business. My goal is to educate everybody and then gain show you guys that we know what we're doing. We're the VA team at Loan Depot. Patton Gate is actually here with you guys today. He is my boss. He is amazing. Just a tremendous leader, tremendous loan officer, right? U.S. Army veteran. He's a West Point graduate, so he was very interested in the Army-Navy game. But he's also a Black Hawk helicopter pilot. He's one of the smartest people I've ever met. In fact, I mean, like when it comes to VA, when it comes to all loans, he's really, really good, right? We can do everything, right? So I get this question all the time. Yes, we do VA loans. Yes, we do renovation loans. That's awesome. But conventional, all of these other mortgage programs, yes, we know how to do those too. So if you like how we do things, we would love to help you with all of your clients. This is where we spend most of our time, right? So if you have a veteran who needs help, this is what we can do, right? We also help with refinancing. You guys ask me this a lot. So if you have a client, you have a family member, you've got a buddy, a friend who may be in the wrong mortgage or has questions about VA, guys, we can help. Not only that, we can help everywhere, right? We are licensed in all 50 states, technically 49. We're working on our Utah license. But guys, we can help everywhere. So somebody's refining, somebody's buying, somebody's transitioning anywhere in this country. We want to help represent them. So this is my information. My name is David Smith. But let's do this real quick. Matt, will you join me?
Yep, I'm here.
No camera?
No, sir. This is what a protest looks like.
Oh, my God. Oh, man. It's all right. I don't need my new friends to see you crying anyway. Can we tell our new friends at least what they've won?
Absolutely. If everybody goes up to the top of the chat box, you'll see that button called handouts. If you click in there, I just made a whole bunch of stuff available. Go ahead and download it. I've also emailed it to you, and I also sent you a text message with with David and Patton's information. Unfortunately, Patton is encountering some snow right now, so his internet connection dropped. Yeah. So, so y'all don't get to see his smiling face.
Yeah, I knew he was going to struggle. The weather's eating him up.
Yeah, it's eating him up bad. So,
crazy.
It's all right. But at least you got me here, and that's what matters.
It's something. It's something.
But yes, you guys got Patton's information. Y'all got all the handouts from the class, and you got David's information as well. So if you guys have any questions along the way, you just want to talk VA, you're just bored, just call
Right. In a bedtime story.
Mm-hmm.
We can talk about calculating residual income. Ugh.
Definitely put somebody to sleep.
Right. So cool. So check your spam filter or spam folder in your email if you don't see it. But you guys should be getting everything via text. You can join our Facebook group. There it is. It's somewhere around here. There it is. Join our Facebook group. These are all of our trained agents. They ask a lot of good questions in there. We try to answer questions in there. We drop marketing material in there. It's for you guys. So whatever's on your mind, definitely hit us up there. And then what else do you have?
That's it. We are done.
That's it. All right. Guys, I hope that you guys learned something. Tell us in the chat if you did, if you liked it. But I'm going to say this. I really appreciate you guys giving up an hour and 10 minutes of your life. I hope that you found it beneficial. I hope that this encourages you, from the VA standpoint, and take care of our veterans, take care of our active duty service members. They deserve it. And I appreciate you guys. Have a blessed rest of your week. And call me or Patton if you need anything. So thank you. And I am going to end webinar. So it is ending in 3, 2, 1. See you guys.
Bye, y'all.